Joining us now to break down Tuesday's events is Dennard, a GOP commentator and the senior communications advisor for Black Media Affairs for the Republican National Committee. So, Paris, Chris Wallace said that he wanted to be invisible at the debate on Tuesday night, and it seems like coming into the conversation today, a lot of people are saying that he was anything but. So I want to ask you, did Chris Wallace have too much of a presence at the debate?
Chris Wallace was not invisible. He was the second opponent. He was just a part of the debate as Joe Biden was. As a matter of fact, he was more involved than Joe Biden was, because for most of the time, Joe Biden stood there silently, not talking about his record, not denouncing Antifa, not talking about what he really stands for, and flip-flopping on issues. So it seems as if Chris Wallace wanted to be more a part of this debate. He's a good journalist most of the time, but as a moderator for this debate, he was very present, and he kept giving Joe Biden cover. And it seemed as if he was trying to help Joe Biden survive a 90-minute debate.
No, I think you're right, and I agree with you. Chris Wallace is a very experienced, a very talented journalist, but last night it seems like he was almost appealing to the Twitter crowd a little bit. He didn't want to face criticisms from people who may say that he was going too soft on President Trump, for example, or going too hard on Joe Biden. It just seems like he was coming in there with a little bit more of an effort to be present at that debate, which is contrary to what he was saying. But I do want to focus on the candidates, since that's traditionally what we would like to focus on coming out of a debate, but, you know, it's 2020. So when it comes to President Trump, he did get out there. He did portray maybe an image of strength. I think that is no doubt what a lot of people are taking coming out of it. But there were moments where maybe we didn't get a lot of substance because the two candidates were talking over each other. But I do want to ask you, do you think President Trump got what he wanted out of that debate?
I think so. If this was a boxing match, President Trump looked like he was the heavyweight champion of the world. He came out there as a strong leader who knew the data, knew the facts, knew the statistics, knew his record, but he also knew Joe Biden's record. And he was wanting to point that out because, look, it had to be done. The president had to take control because Joe Biden was not going to be held accountable, obviously, by Chris Wallace, and he hasn't been held accountable by the mainstream media because Joe Biden's been hiding in his basement, refusing to campaign, refusing to talk to the journalists, refusing to talk to the American people who are already voting. So the president came out there and said, I've got to take control because I've got to hold this man accountable because he hasn't been held accountable, not just in this campaign right now, but in his 47-year history of letting the American people down. He's been more concerned about Beijing than he has about Baltimore. And the president has been highlighting his own platinum plan and understanding that you've got to talk to the American people, but have the clear contrast and make sure they see it.
And I think you bring up an interesting point, and it seems that Joe Biden, once he did get rattled a little bit, it was almost like he was trying to play President Trump's game, in the sense that, for example, he was trying to be the guy that maybe starts calling names or starts kind of making things a little bit more adversarial to some regard. And I don't think that that is Joe Biden's strength. I mean, you and I have talked before about how Joe Biden has that 47 years of experience, of debate experience, where a lot of people were saying that he would show it off on Tuesday night. And I don't think Joe Biden even got to introduce himself to people who may not necessarily know who he is, or let alone what his policies are. So when it comes to Joe Biden's performance, did he fall flat on that as well?
Joe Biden fell flat. He looked like he was tired. He looked like he was not ready for battle. And by battle, I mean defending his record, going after the American people's vote and saying, this is what I've done, this is what I'm going to do, and this is why I've been a champion for you. Nobody wakes up in the morning and says, wow, Joe Biden's going to raise my taxes. He's going to have the Green New Deal. He's going to have open borders. This is exciting. Joe Biden is not an exciting candidate, an inspirational candidate, an aspirational candidate, neither of any of his policies. But more importantly, one would think that after a 47-year career, he would have been the senior statesman. He would have been the person to come into the debate stage and say, you know what, I'm going to elevate the debate. I'm going to be the one that's going to have some calm and some clarity. But no, he was telling the president of the United States to shut up, calling the president of the United States a clown. It was beneath him, and it was embarrassing for him.
No, I mean, no matter where you stand, I mean, whatever happened to respecting the office, that was something that I've heard a lot of Democrats levy criticisms against President Trump for, but I didn't hear any of that last night when one of the candidates was calling the sitting president a clown, telling him to shut up. I mean, that was something I've never seen in a debate before. But before I let you go, Paris, the conversation today is a lot of people saying that there might not be another debate, at least by those in the media. Or, for example, even the Election Commission has since come out and said that maybe they're going to implement tools such as a mute button on some of the microphones in the future debates. What does this tell you about the way that they're analyzing that event?
Joe Biden is running scared. If I were the team Joe Biden, I wouldn't want to debate again either. It was a disaster for him, and he cannot control President Trump, and he has no record to stand up against him, and he knows that. And now President Trump has laid out more plans for his platinum plan and other things. He can't hold account of the president, and the debate commission understands that they can't control what happens. Just let them debate, let them have the conversation. But it's all in an effort, I believe, to not let the American people who are voting right now hear the truth about who President Trump is, unfiltered by the mainstream media's false narrative, and understand the contrast of the record of what Joe Biden has not done for the American people.
Yeah, I think it's very telling when a rebuttal to one of the candidates is muting them. That often means that they don't even want to hear what he has to say. I think that is very telling within itself. But Paris Dennard, it's always a pleasure having you on the program. Thank you for breaking down Tuesday's event.